Luke 2, 4 through 7 says, Joseph went up from Galilee, from the city of Nazareth, to Judea, the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and family of David. Now he did this in order to register along with Mary, who was engaged to him and was with child. And while they were there, the days were completed for her to give birth. And she gave birth to her firstborn son, and she wrapped him in clothes and laid him in a manger because there was no room for him in the inn. Well, if you're joining us in reading through this 25-day reading plan, today's reading is Luke 2, 1 through 7, and I encourage you to read that passage. Well, God has a plan for everything. He will work out the details no matter how complex they seem to be. And we've talked about this before. I've talked about how my life was shaped, even as a non-believer, so that I would marry the person that I did and that we would have the children which we have. And that our lives will also turn out the way they have turned out. Now, each of us has a completely complex life that cannot be understood through coincidence. Our lives have been mapped out by God so that we would be in the place that we are and minister to the people that we do. Nothing is a coincidence. Everything is from a plan. But there are those that take this truth and they take it too far. There are those who hold that we have no free will, that everything has been determined, and that functionally we are more puppets in a play, and that God is the organizer and organized all of this. It's a fantastic type of thinking because it's just fatalistic. It's just as bad as the thinking that we are in complete control of our lives and we don't have to answer to anyone. One says that we are worth nothing, and the other says that we are worth everything. Neither of them is an accurate representation of the truth. Now, I don't think I can adequately express how we can have both free will and how our lives can have been determined. They seem to be opposite from one another, and yet both of them are true. Looking back at our lives, we cannot simply think that everything has been determined. There are too many times when we make choices that could lead us in a completely distinct path. As many of you know, my grandfather was a sea captain, as was his father and his great-grandfather and great-great-grandfather, etc. My grandmother offered me to give an appointment for me, or get an appointment for me, at the Merchant Marine Academy in New York. And had I accepted that offer, I would have not gone to Germany to meet Tony, who would become my wife. Had I chosen the Marines rather than the Army when I received my draft notice, I never would have gone to Germany to meet Tony to become my wife. If the church I was attending in Huntsville, Alabama, had not sent me multiple letters asking for money, I would have not left the church and begun to become a figure skater and join the United States Figure Skating Association so that when I was in Germany, I could go to an ice skating rink and I could meet Tony and she could become my wife. All of this was planned. It didn't fool God. He knew exactly what would happen, and it was part of the plan that I make those decisions. How that works, I frankly don't know. All I do know is that it works.